everyone, PhoenixKnight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies, featuring the recipes from the World of H.P. Lovecraft cookbook. Yes, this is July, and yes, this is the August cookbook, but as I've said multiple times on the channel, I'm going to be at Gen Con on Saturday when the first episode for the new cookbook would be dropping, so you're getting a double upload instead. This week we're starting with the appetizer, Yog-Sothoth Pots, which technically could double as a breakfast. But this is a cookbook that's got stories, so we'll go ahead and tell this one. Yog-Sothoth is a terrifying and all-knowing outer god who appears in the case of Charles Dexter Ward and the Dunwich Horror. In a 1926 letter to his friend James F. Morton, Lovecraft drew a detailed family tree for many of the entities he'd created. On this, Yog-Sothoth is listed as the spawn of the nameless mist. Lovecraft is notorious for not quite describing some of his monstrous creations. His narrators are often struck dumb or driven mad by what they see, and left unable to put into words the horrors they have witnessed. Yog-Sothoth seems to invoke this kind of reaction, and is described in only the vaguest of terms as being formed of malignant globes. Being a timeless being made of evil spheres doesn't stop Yog-Sothoth from breeding with a human woman, however, and the resulting offspring are the key figures in the Dunwich Horror. And funnily enough, we've got Yog-Sothoth lined up as the opponent for the 2025 Summer of Lovecraft, if you've already seen the video on Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu earlier this morning. As usual, the ingredients for this recipe are waiting for us at the table, so let's head in that direction. In order to make this recipe, we need 3.5 cups of frozen mixed berries that are thawed. That's going to be a little more than 3.5 cups, but it'll make some of the math easy. The juice from 1 orange, which turns into 1/3 of a cup of orange juice, which I'm using that instead. 1/3 of a cup of honey, 2 cups of vanilla yogurt, and half a cup of granola. Let's move into the kitchen now and start putting this recipe together. We are going to start off by processing half of the berries. So I've got one of my bags here of the frozen berries that I picked up that are thawed. Let's make sure that's most of it. Yep, that can hit the bin. Then we'll take our 1/3 of a cup of honey, and to soften it up a little bit, I'm going to throw it in the microwave for an add 30. That'll make it a lot easier to pour. We'll also need the orange juice for that, but I'm going to deal with the honey first. So we'll wait for that to come out of the microwave. And I'm going to get something else I'm going to need for the next step of the recipe. That already looks like it's pouring a lot more easily, so I'm also going to grab a small spatula out once I find the one I want. Okay. Oh yeah, that's pouring a lot more easily. And cue spatula. Okay, that's probably as much as we're going to get out of there. So that can all, yeah, that's going to go to the dishwasher. I was going to use this for the orange juice as well, but I'm not going to bother with that now. What I will bother with is going to find my 1/4 cup measuring cup, because last time I checked, 1/4 times 2 is also known as a half. At least I'm pretty sure that's how multiplying fractions still works. I mean, it's been a few years since I've had to worry about multiplying fractions, but fairly certain my about 3rd or 4th grade math is still good on that front. Anyway, here's our orange juice, and I went with pulp free. And of course, this needs to come off. Once it decides it wants to cooperate. There we are. Okay. All right. 1 and 2. Okay. I'll move that toward the dishes. The orange juice can go back in the fridge. Actually, that's where I'm also going to put the yogurt until I'm ready for that. We don't need that just yet. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to process this in the food processor until it's all smooth. So here's your 5-second warning before I turn the food processor on. Wow, okay, yeah, that's loud. Let's give that another pulse. Actually, I'm going to pull the lid off real quick and take a look, because I want to pulse that until it's smooth. That's what I'm after here. Whoa. Don't know how that splashed out. Got this thing sealed up tight, but I'm going to grab another... Actually... I think I already had a spatula for that purpose, but I think everything looks pretty good on that already. Only took a couple pulses to get it all chopped up. So now we're going to move that. Into a bowl, which is what I was grabbing earlier. I was grabbing a bowl along with another spatula. There we go. Then we'll lift that clean off. We'll grab the aforementioned spatula. Actually, I lied. The spatula was actually for stirring this, so I don't puncture the berries. But I can use the spatula here as well to scrape some more of the berry mix out. I'll bring the food processor base out of shot, so I can bring the bowl in shot and show you what I'm doing. Scrape as much of this as we can. I'll scrape as much of this as I can out. Looks like there was still a bit of residual honey that was stuck to the bottom. Okay, well, we can probably work with that. What we want to do next, though, is we want to bring the rest of the berries in. So we can stir those in. Okay. Yep, stir in the remaining berries, okay? Just checking where I'm at in the recipe. Everything's tracking nice and well here. See if I can scrape some of this off and in. Okay. Right, I think we are pretty much all good on that. So now we're going to switch shots and bring our small bowls in shot. I've got 4 small bowls here in shot because that's where we're going with this. So we're going to start by dividing 1/3 of the berry mixture among 4 individual dessert glasses or small bowls. These are maybe a little bit bigger than I'd normally use, but this is what we'll start with. We'll try not to scoop over top of the yogurt, but we will be needing the yogurt momentarily as well. Put a little bit more in that one. There's going to be a little bit of cleanup here, but that's to be expected. Okay. There we are. Normally I wouldn't bother with doing all 4 of them in real time, but because this is going to be so quick, I will go ahead and do all 4 of these in real time. Then we're going to top with half of the yogurt. So we're going to so we've got our yogurt right here. Hopefully I won't need to give this too much of a mix. Nope, I think we'll be all fine here. So now we'll take some of the yogurt and we'll scoop some into each of the parfaits. Maybe give that a little more. Okay. Then we're going to top it again with half of the remaining berry mixture. Preferably without getting all of this in the way. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a little bit easier on myself. There we are. Oh, let's see if I can separate these strawberries. Okay, that's the last of those. Then we're going to top with the remaining yogurt. Okay. And then we'll top with the remaining, we'll top all of these with the remaining berry mixture between the 4 of them. Yes, I know I'm making a bit of a mess, but that's what cleanup is for when everything's done. Actually, we'll do it this way. Off on the other side. There we are. Okay. Now, 3 of these are going straight in the... 3 of these are going to get covered with lids and go straight in the fridge. Because I'll use those for breakfasts this week before Gen Con. And I like these containers in particular because they've got screw cap closures on them. So those 3 are going in the fridge. The 4th one, however, is going to get topped with some granola, and then that's going to head over to my desk with me for the taste test. So we'll go ahead and top it with granola, since I've got that right here. If I can ever get the... There we go. I was going to say if I can ever get it torn off. So here's our granola. Which we'll top it with some of this. And then I will see you guys at my desk for the taste test. I've got one of the parfaits right here. Today, this is going to be a late lunch. For the rest of the week, is this going to be breakfast? Let's find out on the taste test. Not only could I see these being breakfast, not only are these going to be breakfast, I could see this being a recurring part of my breakfast rotation, especially when I need something with carbs for a little more energy early in the day. But I'm very happy with how this turns out. A lot of this depends on the fruit medley that you get. It's supposed to be a berry medley, I think, that you use. So do be aware of that, but that's another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Next week, next week, if we count this as being from when we'd normally be at Saturday, we'll be making the side, and I need to look up what the side is going to be. Well, actually, I don't need to look up what the side is going to be because we'll be talking about that during Pinot with Phoenix. We'll be talking about that during Pinot with Phoenix tomorrow night. We'll be busy, though, because later this afternoon yet, we're going to go to the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee to continue the 2009-10 Stratomatic hockey season replay as the Calgary Flames will make their first appearance on the board, taking on the Nashville Predators. I'm hoping to do one last product unboxing before I leave for Gen Con. After that, there are going to be no videos coming out until I come back from Gen Con next week, when we'll be doing a Gen Con wrap show. Then we'll be back to the next game of the 2009-10 season replay on the 4th of August. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.